I just discovered a Dungeon World exploit that will let you farm infinite amounts of experience, get to max level in as little as one session, and there is nothing your DM can do about it. Now, what is this exploit? Well, in order to tell you that, I have to tell you the 4 ways that you can earn experience in Dungeon World. The first is to resolve one of your bonds.
Dude, what the does that mean?
So remember when you first created your character and you saw those statements that said like, blank owes me their life, and you put Chachsuke?
Yeah?
Well, that's a relationship dynamic with tension that can be resolved. In this case, if Chachsuke saves your life at some point, then you guys are kinda equal on the whole owing each other's lives sort of thing. Another way of looking at it is if a bond statement is true at the beginning of a Dungeon World session, so like Chachsuke owes you their life, and it's false at the end of a Dungeon World session, like Chachsuke no longer owes you their life, then that bond is considered resolved. And when a bond gets resolved, you get 1 XP and you can no longer resolve that bond in the future. Do keep in mind, you can only get XP for 1 resolved bond per session, so you can't really exploit that method.
Fucking bullshit, dude.
The second way to get XP is through fulfilling your alignment. Before you ask, do you remember in character creation when you said that Brokage would be neutral as opposed to good or evil?
Oh yeah, totally.
Right, so you know how under that it says defeat a worthy opponent?
Yes!
So that's what I like to call your alignment quest. If Brokage defeats a worthy opponent during the session, he'll get 1 point of XP. Just like bonds, you only get to mark experience for your alignment quest 1 time per session. But unlike bonds, you can fulfill your alignment the next session, and the session after that, and the session after that, and even the following session after that, and you get the idea. Now, the third way to earn experience is through the end of session move. Okay, if you want to be a stickler, you technically got your XP from your bonds and alignment using the end of session move, but this is like another part of it that's kind of different. Basically, what you, your DM, and the rest of the party are gonna do is ask yourselves 3 questions. Did you guys learn something new or interesting about the world? Did you overcome a notable boss or enemy? Note, that says overcome, not necessarily kill. So if you bypass Smaug by tricking it or whatever, that totally counts. And 3, did you loot a notable treasure? For every one of those questions that you and the party can honestly say yes to, you get to mark 1 XP.
Wait, so if I can only get 1 XP from my bond, 1 XP from my alignment, and 3 XP from those questions, then it's gonna take me like forever to level up, dude.
2 things. 1, the formula to figure out how much experience you need to level up is stupidly simple. You just take your level and you add 7. So it takes 8 experience to get to level 2, it takes 9 experience to get to level 3, it takes 10 experience to get to level 4, etc, etc. And 2, I haven't told you about the far more common way to get XP in Dungeon World.
I'm listening.
See, every time you roll your 2d6s to make a move, there's 3 levels of success. A 10 or a higher means everything goes according to plan. A 7 through 9 means you get what you want, but at a cost. But rolling a 6 or below means you completely and totally fail.
Oh, okay, so buy weighted dice. Got it.
No. You see, if you fail a roll, you get 1 point of XP.
Okay.
Now, typically, if you fail a roll in something like combat, that's going to be a big L for you, bud. Because most likely, you're going to take a bunch of damage, you're going to be in a crappy situation, you're not going to be a happy camper. But Dungeon World has moves that you can do that aren't in combat and don't have as big of negative effects.
Oh, are we getting to the exploit now?
Yes, we are. So if you fail a spout lore roll, most likely, nothing bad is gonna happen and you're gonna get to mark XP. Now, spout lore uses your intelligence modifier, and unless you're a wizard, you don't really need your intelligence modifier. So during character creation, you have to assign 6 scores to 6 stats, right? Those scores are 16, 15, 13, 12, 9, and 8. And whatever attribute you assign an 8 to, it's -1 for every single roll.
Oh, so you're saying make my intelligence my lowest stat, then spout lore like all session long, and then I'll just be racking up XP from all the failures.
That's not how that works. Oh shit, gotta go. Ignore the ramblings of my evil twin, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
So I don't get XP from resolving bonds and fulfilling alignments?
Wait, Yes, you do. Okay, so everything was correct up until that last part, because intentionally failing spout lore checks to farm XP relies on a flawed understanding of how moves work in Dungeon World.
What do you mean?
Well, to start off, a player never intentionally spouts lore, hacks and slashes, or parlays. Instead, what happens is a player says they might actually know something about the Skull of Truth, or that Brokage wants to cleave the oh, why did I make it this monster, bro? Or that Brokage wants to cleave the Otyugh in half with his battle axe. Or that Chachsuke wants to use his knowledge of Riverfire's sewage backup as leverage to persuade the evil Baron to let them go. Then, if the GM decides in the context of that situation that there is zero way to know what happens next, they will call for a roll. I'm just gonna repeat that for emphasis. If neither the GM nor the players know what's gonna happen next, a roll is called for. Additionally, if a roll is called for, there has to be stakes for failure. So if Brokage wants to spout off that the elves of Azizi are vegan when it doesn't really matter, the DM wouldn't call for a roll. Thus, Brokage wouldn't fail that roll, and thus Brokage would not get free XP. On the other hand, if Chachsuke fails his parlay roll to convince the Baron of Riverfire that the party's knowledge of the system's sewer network is important to the Baron might think that Chachsuke is full of shit and throw the entire party in jail. If Brokage fails his hack and slash roll to cleave the Otyugh in half, then what would happen is the Otyugh deals its damage to Brokage, and Brokage doesn't deal any damage to the Otyugh. I am definitely pronouncing that wrong. Finally, if the unnamed player fails their spout lore roll, then maybe they think that the Skull of Truth is in the Tomb of Horrors when it's actually in the Tomb of Annihilation. Maybe that player is focusing so hard on trying to recall where the Skull of Truth is, they don't even notice that there are goblins on the hill that are going to attack the party. Or maybe they recall that the Skull of Truth will age anyone who touches it 50 years. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, they failed the roll, why are you telling them something that's true about the skull? Well, prior to them failing that roll, the skull didn't age them 50 years when they touched it. You kind of get what I'm saying? Basically, failing the roll makes the adventure more adventurous, aka there is no free XP. Full disclosure, I did steal that expression from Reddit user Bartonboy, who posted it in the Reddit thread that inspired this entire video. If you want to read that Reddit thread, it is in the description below. Now, if all of this information is new to you and you're interested in running Dungeon World, then I highly recommend you click right here, where I tell you everything you need to know before you run your first Dungeon World session. And thank you so much for watching. Shkapla!